Hello, everyone. My name is Hady Raphael, and today on the show, CF Montreal loses its first game of the season. MLS introduces a new playoffs format, and Kai Kamara traded to the Chicago Fire. That and a lot more on episode 121 of the Ball is Round. And I'm joined today by my good friend Eve Powell. How are you today, Eve?
Hanging in there. Sunday scaries as always. How are
Yeah,
you?
could be better. I had a very rough
Mm-hmm.
soccer weekend, but you know what? Life goes on, and thank God there's next week.
There we
Too.
go. Just look
Exactly,
forward.
there's always
One
next
direction
week.
only.
Exactly. No choice. No choice.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Elias is sick, and he's not going to be able to join us tonight. So I hope you get
Yeah.
well very soon, Elias, and that
And the
we'll be able to hear you once again here on the Ball is Round next week.
I gotta tell you, the ball is round. Like we need to invest in some vitamin C or something. you
It's
know.
crazy, eh? It's
I
crazy. It's
know
been
we've
a
been
while.
dropping like flies. I feel
It's
bad.
Yeah, me too, me too. And I don't know, maybe it's because we haven't had a chance to go to the stadium yet, and that's why we didn't get our vitamin C, as you said. So maybe the stadium is the vitamin C that we need, right?
I think there's plenty of germs that would help build our immune systems, if nothing.
But you know what, Eve? Let's get right into it and rip the band-aid off as quickly as possible.
Okay.
CF Montreal played its first game of the 2023 season in Miami at the Drive Pink Stadium. What a weird name. For his first game,
Who are we to judge?
Coach Hernan Lozada decided to go with a 3-5-2 with Pentemis in goal. From right to left, Herrera as a right center back, Camacho as a mid center back, and Kamal Miller as a left center back. In central defense, on the wings, we had Zachary Bogia and Lassi Lapalainen playing as wing backs. In the middle of the pitch, we had Piet, Wanyama, and Saliba. And up front, we had Sunusi Ibrahim and Romel Kyoto. What did you think about that starting 11, Eve? I know you weren't here last week, so you couldn't give
Mhm.
your prediction
Yeah.
regarding the starting 11. What did you think of it?
It was probably pretty close to what I expected the starting lineup to be overall. Obviously, close to the match day, we found out that Joel Waterman had picked up an injury. Otherwise, of course, I would have expected him to start as the right center back with Herrera starting as the right wing back. With Mako Miljevic out, I kind of expect to see Hernan Lozada probably auditions several of those depth players for the role in behind the strikers if he continues to play in a similar formation. So with that being was overall, certainly central defense was more or less what I expected. Obviously, Lassie expected him to start. Piet and Wanyama, no surprises there. Romel Kyoto, and then I know certainly Elias, I think, was dead set on Sunisi Ibrahim getting a start to the season.
It
And
was me. It was me. It
oh,
was
my bad.
Elias.
Sorry, my bad. I'm extra. My bad.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Yeah, but no, but obviously after a really because he had a really strong preseason, and new coach, kind of a new breath of fresh air. So I wasn't surprised to see Sunusi get the start next to Kyoto.
Yeah, me neither. And you know what? Form is always very important, right? So he had a good current form right now, scoring
Mhm.
a few games, giving some assists. So wasn't really surprising. Yeah, I wasn't really surprised either by the starting 11. The only thing is that I thought that, yeah, I know that Nathan Saliba had a few starts with the preseason, but I was surprised
Um,
to see him get the start from the get go. But you know what? It was the choice of Hernan Lozada,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think we heard, like, obviously, I think we lost a lot of visibility, unfortunately, when the team went to Florida. But
Yeah,
sort of, I think from what we had heard coming out of there was kind of when he took off a little bit, maybe compared to the other players who were vying for that position. And now, I think everybody's going to get a pretty solid look in. I mean, several players got a look in last night. We had three different players trying that spot out on their own last night. Until Miljevic returns.
yeah, exactly. So it's gonna be I think very interesting to see who's gonna get that spot in the end, because we know that Matko is out for at least 3 months, right? So that's gonna be a very nice battle to follow in the next few weeks, of course. You know what, Yves? Things started off pretty well for Montreal during that game. A lot we saw the high pressing the high press that Hernando Sada is trying to install, and because of that high press, Montreal got the first real opportunity of
Yeah.
the game around the 10th minute. High press from Kyoto on Calendar, the goalkeeper. He gave the ball back to Sunusi Ibrahim. Sunusi Ibrahim dribbled past Grigore and managed to shoot the ball towards the side of the net, but Calendar stepped up and made the save.
Yeah.
Do you think Ibrahim should have done better on that
I
on that ball?
It's really hard to say no. you know it looked like he had Calendar at his mercy. Obviously, he had just been kind of caught off guard with the pressing and had turned the ball directly over. uh Sanusi had done the hard part by getting around the oncoming defender, so you really felt like he had done the hardest part, and just needed to put some more power into his shot, because
Yeah,
it was like with his that part of the foot, the inside of the foot, whatever you want to call it, like a side. It was almost like he was trying to pass it into the net rather than like a truly powerful shot. But I guess given that it's the first game of the season, I'm not incredibly, I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. If that continues on, 5, 6 matches, 10 matches into the season, it's going to be a different story.
I don't want to go too hard on Sanusi. Don't forget,
Yeah.
you said it last week. He's only 21. He's really young. He's 20, not even 21. So he's 20. He's very very young still. I think that for me, there's some sort of an improvement. We know that Sanusi before the old Sanusi used to shoot that ball and put it off target. At
Yeah.
least this time it was on target. It wasn't a very easy shot to save. It wasn't the best shot, of course. I agree with you, but it was low. It's always hard for a keeper to go and save that ball. Now, yeah, it could have been shot like it could have been a bit more towards the corner of the net, but it wasn't, unfortunately. But I don't think it's a bad shot. Sometimes you have to shoot with power, like you said, and sometimes you can maybe curl it, and that's what
Yeah.
he tried to do. He tried to curl the
Yeah.
ball, but it wasn't really a success
No.
that time around, unfortunately. Um, from then on, unfortunately, Miami took over and
Mm-hmm.
they took control of the game. They had an off-target shot from Joseph Martinez around the 23rd minute. And then, the team altogether started to multiply the attacks on every
Yeah.
goal.
They really took over
And
possession. It was wild.
possession, but also, there was a
No, but
lot of chances, but not a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah. No,
shots, a
it
lot of
was like
chances.
it was good possession.
Exactly, exactly. So it was hard. There was a big hole in the middle of the pitch, and I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about it a bit later. Um, until that famous corner at the 41st minute, Mota took the corner kick. Martinez had that flick on the near post and gave it back to the new signing, Kristoff, that put it at the back of the net on the second post with a simple, very simple tap in. I think there were
Mm-hmm.
three
I was
players
tapping like
on
with
that.
his crotch.
Exactly, exactly. There was three players on the second post with only one Montreal
Yeah,
defender there.
what a
How bad
shame.
was the defending on that set piece, Eve?
Very few players covered themselves in glory with their attempts to defend that set piece. It was ugly. I kind of anticipate that it should have probably given like it was towards the far post for James Pantemis. I kind of think it was likely on Zachary Broguiard perhaps to provide that additional cover because it's close to his, area, if you will. Obviously, Kamal Miller had clearly been tasked with the post itself. But overall, Montreal was generally just flat-footed, disorganized. Like all of those bad words that you want to use when you describe defending a corner, all of them applied. I'm pretty sure. Like James Pantemis was kind of glued in there, and there were a lot of players around. To be fair, but it was like I don't have anything nice to say about anybody's action on that corner.
No, but let's be fair. We can't really point James Pantemis on that goal because he couldn't have done anything, right? Because the flick on from Martinez,
it caught everyone off guard.
It caught everyone off guard. It's mostly the defenders that should have marked, all of those three players at the back post, and that wasn't done, unfortunately. But you know what, Yves? The ghosts from the past are back to haunt us on set pieces, you think?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But we do have Chan here who says game 1, and I'm already tired of last year's left back. I don't know if we're going to go into that more in detail later on.
Yeah, go ahead. We can do it now.
I was going to say, just because we're talking about defenders, and technically wingback qualifies as a defender, at least some of the game. It was not a good game for Lassie last night. It was not good.
Defensively. Offensively, he did a couple of things that were pretty good.
Yeah, but that final pass, man, it was not coming off for him at all. At all. Like, because, okay, we were watching the game on TV or streaming, whatever we're calling it. And I'm sure I'm pretty sure everybody experienced the exact same challenge last night as a spectator trying to watch that game. I could not tell the players apart to save my life. Like, there are large parts of the game that I just did not understand. I did not understand if they just turned the ball over or if they passed to their teammate. I was like, I'm so confused. I'll just wait till it changes directions.
Yeah, it was really tough.
And I was wondering if they were experiencing that live on the pitch. Because for Lassie, like, the final ball, I think every time I agree with you, he got into some dangerous areas for sure. But when it came to deliver something, to a teammate waiting in the box or potentially taking a shot himself, unfortunately, it died, for want of a better word. And also, just a quick congratulations to Chan for Manchester United winning the Carabao Cup today.
Exactly, but not only to Chan, to our friend Paul Vance, the OG of the Ball is Round, of course. And all the fans of Manchester United, congratulations.
Including my dad. Awkward morning in PEI this morning.
Now, you know what? I just to add on Lassie Lapalainen, I agree. But you know what? There's so many players that you can point out after that game that didn't have a good game. ZBG is one of them. Nathan Saliba, and we're going to talk about him a bit later. There's so many players. It feels like the players weren't ready for the first game of the season. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I see what you mean for sure. There have been a lot of changes in the starting 11 from last season to this season, which means that undoubtedly it's going to take time to build chemistry, to, understand and anticipate where your teammates are going to be at and everything like that. It's kind of starting a lot from scratch, especially on top of it, a new coach with new ideas, new plans. So I'm not super duper surprised, of course, disappointed, undoubtedly, because watching some of the other games from around the league, it looked like some teams were just completely I was like, oh my God, are you in season form already? What the heck?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But, it's normal if, I think, Losada, the idea of Losada is the high press. And if it is that, and if his physical trainer is as good as what we think, that means that the physical part that the team had to endure in the preseason was very, very, very heavy.
Yeah.
So that might explain the heavy legs during that game. That might explain the fact that they were disorganized on the pitch. That might Yeah, you know what? It's funny
as
because
Robbie
Avera
said.
just said that
Yeah.
they did look disorganized at times. I think that the preparation, the physical preparation, might have had a role in this.
Mhm.
So I
Could
like,
be.
let's not jump to conclusions like right away, and we're
No.
gonna have time to discuss all that a bit later. Now, Montreal tried to answer after that goal.
They
They tried to
did.
answer very quickly. A great cross from ZBG on the 42nd minute.
Mhm.
The header from Kyoto, very nice header. Again, a save from Calendar.
Yep.
But you know what? Nothing else happened until
Mhm.
halftime.
Mhm.
Um, did you think Montreal had some kind of hope, after the fact that ZBG really tried to offer another chance to Montreal, or do you think that the problems that they were experiencing were gonna drag on until the end of the game
Mm,
and for the second period? Were you
I
hopeful?
mean, 40, 45 minutes into a match on the first match of the season, I'm kind of hesitant to prognosticate on the end of a match, for sure. I do kind of, though, I kind of agree with Patrick's take here, and congratulations to Patrick, also, of course, Manchester United fan.
Yeah.
Who says scoring right now looks like it's going to be an issue. Like I will say that Calendar did make a few really good saves last night. I'm sure we're going to talk about the Aaron Herrera chance later on, which
Yeah.
was a good save, like you mentioned, obviously on Sanusi on the header from Kyoto as well. So he. Do you remember like the keeper that Miami had before? If
Yeah,
he had been
Vermeer.
there, yeah, no, the other guy.
There was Vermeer and there was the other. Oh, I
The
forgot his
other
name.
guy. I forget
Yeah,
his
I
name
forgot his
too. I
name.
forget his name, but
Yeah,
he
I always
he was
forget his
not
name. Yeah,
good.
he was really
Yeah.
bad.
Like if that
McCarthy.
guy.
McCarthy. McCarthy.
Yes, yes,
Is it
yes, yes,
McCarthy? Yeah,
yes.
I think it's
The
McCarthy.
guy on whom Bjorn Johnson of all people scored
Yeah,
2 goals.
2 goals exactly. I think it was McCarthy. But
I
yeah,
think I believe you're right. I can see you googling. Oh my God, love you.
I am googling right
That
now
being
as
said,
we
though,
speak.
if that guy had been in net, I think Montreal would have life would have been good. I think Miami's goalkeeper had a really good night. Unfortunately, the same could not be said on our end of the pitch, but he did have a good night. As far as having a hope, though, I think overall I still did because I really didn't know what to expect from this Montreal team. I think I did anticipate though that we were going to need to see a change in the field, like in the lineup in the second half immediately in order to actually create sustainable chances, like to retain possession in the second or in the opponent's half for a while, to just to kind of apply a lot more pressure than Montreal had been.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? If you look at the saves of Calendar, okay, if
Mm-hmm.
only one shot went to the back of the net, we would have seen a completely different game.
I don't like those hypotheticals, though. I
I
really don't. I'm
understand, but
sorry.
you know what? Miami didn't have a great first
Oh no,
half
they
either.
no.
So
I'm they had a better first half than Montreal, though, like
did
significantly.
they?
Statistically speaking, yeah,
They had the same exact amount of shots at
yeah.
halftime. Uh, they
They had
weren't
better
more
possession,
dangerous. They had better possession. I agree. I agree with
and I
that.
think that their possession was like a lot more purposeful. Um,
Yeah,
I didn't check their pass. I didn't check the halftime pass accuracy stats, but I'm willing to bet theirs were better than Montreal's.
of course, because our
um,
midfield was horrible.
it was not good. Yeah, but no, I mean, technically, I just did my own hypothetically go if some other guy had been in goal, it would have been better night, blah blah. But
It
like,
is
I'm
John
not.
McCarty, by the way. It is
Thank
John
you,
McCarty.
thank you. Yeah, sorry to him.
No, it's good.
His ears are burning somewhere. But that being said, like I think Miami deserved their lead going into the half. I really do.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been very surprised if Montreal went into the half with a 1-0 win, 1-0 lead either. So I,
Okay, we're gonna have to agree to disagree, I think.
let's agree to disagree. Exactly. Second half. Okay, Montreal started the second half guns blazing with Mathieu Choinière coming in for Nathan Saliba, who didn't have a good half. And let's talk
Yeah, I
about
feel
him a bit
bad.
later. Let's talk about him now. What did you
Might as well.
think about Nathan Saliba's first half or game? Because he didn't play half.
Yeah. I feel bad. Like I really wanted him to do really well. I did. You know, obviously it's a really big occasion. He's only 19 years old. It's his first game. I'm absolutely definitely not going to write him off, based on that performance. I think he had a really, really hard time finding either Sanusi or Kyoto. He had a really hard time linking up with them. I don't think he fully understood sort of where his midfield trio, in the sense of Wanyama and Piet, I don't think he expected them to kind of. It felt like there was a lot of space between them,
Yeah.
like between not Kyoto, Wanyama and Piet and
And
Saliba. It felt like there was like quite a gulf between them for large parts of the match. I think he would have been better served maybe to drop a little deeper, just so that he could, like, not kind of be left on his own out in no man's land. And as well, neither Lassie nor ZBG from the wings had a particularly great half, which I don't think helped Nathan Saliba out either, because of course he would have been relying on potentially them as well from a wide perspective.
I think that he had a problem with his positioning too. Like,
Yeah.
he said he could drop back. Yeah, maybe at times he could have dropped back. Sometimes he was a bit too
Deep?
too deep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes he was a bit. He was always off. He was never like he didn't feel the flow of the game in a certain
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was like kind of out of step, but like it didn't
Exactly.
feel like it didn't feel like a ton of the players out there were super in sync either, and I don't think that really helped him. It's the very first game of the season. Like I said, I expect it to be a little disjointed for
And it's
sure.
his first professional game ever, right? So
Exactly.
let's not be too hard on him
No.
because
No, no, no.
he's still young, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he's going to be a great player because he did show some glimpses of his potential, and I think he's going to be a very good player in the future.
Yeah. And like Patrick says, it's going to take some time with him, and, totally normal, in my opinion. Patrick does add, though, that he believes we need a team in MLS Next Pro as a higher level than PLSQ, which is an interesting take.
Yeah, I'm not really in agreement with that because if CF Montreal won the PLSQ, I would have said yeah, but CF
Mm-hmm.
Montreal was fifth in the PLSQ. So let's start by winning the PLSQ to want higher level. And don't forget that our reserve team, a lot of the players that play there are under 19.
I was going to say they're really young.
Exactly. In the MLS Next Pro, a lot of players are in their 20s, 21, 22, 23. We don't have the squad to have a team at that level, in my opinion. And you know what? I'm pretty sure that the PLSQ is pretty good for those players, the 17-year-olds, 18, 19-year-olds, because they're playing against men, and that's something that's going to help them a lot. So I'm not in agreement with you, Patrick, unfortunately, on that take. I don't know if you have anything to add, Eve, before we move on.
I would say probably not for the short term. However,
Yeah.
if we don't start to see the PLSQ experience, proving fruitful, then maybe that is something that they would need to reevaluate in perhaps 3 years or so.
Yeah.
If they're finding like perhaps it is too far of a gulf, to make from playing at that level to MLS, and MLS X Pro is a slightly higher level, would help those players bridge the gap a little bit easier, potentially.
Yeah.
Just a thought,
Yeah.
but anyway, I definitely don't think like for the immediate future, I don't think it's exactly at the moment, but I think it's definitely worth keeping an eye on.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, Mathieu Choinière came in for Nathan Saliba, and it's funny. Chan says really surprised to see Saliba instead of Toy or Rea. We did talk about it last week, saying that Rea, Losada said that he wasn't really ready for that level, and he was a bit too weak. physically, not like as a player, but physically. And for Toy, not the same kind of player, right? Because Toy
Mm.
is a striker, right? So yeah, we were surprised, but you know what? I'm pretty sure he's going to be a good player again, Saliba. But Mathieu
Mhm.
Choinière came in on the second half, and right away he got the ball. He gave a great through ball to Lassi Lapalainen, who tried the
He
special
did his
Lassie,
usual shot.
this special Lassie trying to curl the ball towards the side netting, but Calendar once again stood tall. Did
Mhm.
you think that things will be better with Chouanière in the mix, considering the beginning of the
Um,
second half and that chance?
well, I think it was really clear that it was not coming off for Nathan Zaliba. So I kind of think no matter who, and I'm so sorry because it's not going to come off as it's going to come off a little more unkindly than I mean it. But I anticipated that his replacement would probably be. Um, so I mean, I wasn't gonna like hang my hat on Mathieu Choignard, with that one chance. But seeing him come in, obviously he does have MLS experience. This is far from his first rodeo. So yeah, I did think it was a wise substitution.
Yeah, it was. It was a wise substitution. Now, maybe it's not very good for the morale of Saliba, so I hope that he's going to be able to boost him during the week until the
Yeah,
next game because it can be tough on the
for
morale on a
sure,
young player. So
for sure.
hopefully the mental there's a mental preparation that's prepared for him and for
Yeah.
all the players that haven't played a good game during against Inter Miami. Now, unfortunately, yes, that was a very good chance at the beginning of the half, but Inter Miami again started showing promises and started to control the ball
Mhm.
more. They continued to be dangerous. A very nice shot from Stefanelli on the 49th minute
Yeah.
that missed the target, like very close. That it was very close to be at the back of
Yeah.
the net.
Yeah.
And that was a long range shot from Mora saved by Pantemis.
Yeah.
At that point, Montreal seemed completely
Um,
flat, right, Eve?
They seemed pretty uninspired. Yeah. I was a little concerned. I felt like I don't know if it was heavy legs maybe from some of the players because of course I know they've certainly been in Florida for a few weeks now, but obviously the weather there is, I mean, you could see their jerseys were stuck to them. Their hair was wet the whole 9 yards. Um so and undoubtedly this is the most intense pace that they've played at now since last year. So, I was kind of expecting that they would start to kind of deflate a little bit, but I kind of didn't expect it to happen that early.
Yeah, it was very early during the game, and you know what? At the 61st minute, Sean Rea came in
Hmm.
for Zachary Bogia, and that was very surprising. And the way the team was set up after that change was very surprising.
Wasn't
With
it?
Samia get playing as a right center back, even if Losada said
I
during
was.
his presser that no, he played as a midfielder.
He's
And
gonna
then
watch the game again.
and then Piet said during his presser that he was placed as a right center back. So,
Okay.
so it was very weird because Asada said no, and then Piet said yes, and I'm like, okay, that's very
And the
weird.
TV also said yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Uh, and then Schwanya, Wanyama, and Real linking up in the midfield. Herrera playing as a right wing back, so his natural position. Were you surprised by the whole change of scenery for CF Montreal?
Um, I wasn't surprised to see ZBG come out because he did not have a great night. I think he was at kind of caught out a lot defensively for sure. He did have a few interesting moments offensively, but it wasn't nearly, I don't think, enough. As well, I think it was pretty obvious that Aaron Herrera was not at his best place as well, which of course, meant that side of the pitch, although Miami didn't necessarily attack it quite as much, for me, it was a really vulnerable side of the pitch as it was. Um, that being said, though, you know, I was interested to see Sean Rea. come in for sure, because like you said, Hernan Lozada had kind of hinted that he wasn't quite ready, but lo and behold. And I was really, really glad that we got to see Aaron Herrera play his right position, even though it meant an interesting change of pace for Sam Piet.
Yeah, and you know what? He was pretty good. Very high level Aaron Herrera as a right
Yeah,
wing back. I loved what he did,
me
how the
too.
way he played, his crosses, his availability,
Yeah,
his positioning. Oh
he's
wow, that's
like start Sam Piet at right center next match if you have to.
no, I don't think it's his
Okay, I'm
position.
sorry. No, I agree, but I think for me, Aaron categorically has to start there.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And you know what? You could have maybe Wanyama play as a center back. I think that would be better than Sapiet, in my opinion. If Wanyama plays as a center back, then
Okay, they can toss a coin or something. I don't know.
we'll see, we'll see.
Hopefully,
But
Joel
yeah,
Waterman should be back.
yeah, hopefully. And you know what? Patrick says Rhea looked great in his 30 minutes, and I completely agree.
Oh my
You
god,
know, for someone that was considered weak physically,
he held
it
up.
didn't show. It didn't show during that game. He created so many chances. He was at the right place at the right
Yeah,
time most of the time. He was
yeah,
in tempo. He accelerated the play whenever he needed to accelerate the play.
yeah,
He slowed down the play when he needed to slow down the play.
yeah.
I loved his game. I think
I
that
really, yeah.
yeah, and I think that if you have to start someone else, um, next week, I
Hmm.
would give the start for Sean Rea because
I think he made
he
his
was
case.
very good. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was very good during
Like,
that.
I agree that probably the circumstances of the match, given that Montreal did go on to concede another goal, I think they probably did favor the attacking players more. Obviously, because now Miami had a lead to protect. That being said, though, I think I agree with you that we saw three different players essentially try out that attacking role, and I think for me, Sean Mayo was absolutely the most successful of the three.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you know what? Let's talk a bit about Herrera and what he did. Around the 74th minute, Herrera and Sunusi played a 1-2, and the wingback was stopped once again by Calendar. You know what? We talked a bit about Herrera. We
Hmm.
talked a tiny bit about Calendar. But when you take a step back and you see the number of quality saves that he had to make during that game,
Hmm.
you have to say
He had a
that
good game.
Montreal wasn't that bad.
It's just there was some stuff that was really, really, really bad, and it kind
Yes,
of sticks out.
yes, I understand because we lost at 6 out. But when you think about it, Herrera could have been a goal.
Okay,
Sunusi could have been a goal, and Lassie could have been a goal. So that's three clear-cut chances that Canada stopped.
I will say that Montreal was definitely significantly better in the second half than in the first.
I agree.
For me, in the first half, they were not good. Period. And in the second half, I thought they were improved for sure.
I'm never going to convince you. So,
Well, I got spoiled, last year. I
yeah,
got
we were.
spoiled.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were. But that coach that we had last year didn't have a good first
Mm.
game either, right? So yeah.
Okay,
So
well, but we can start throwing stuff around because didn't have a good first game last season either.
so moving on, as
Yeah.
Montreal was finally starting to build momentum, unfortunately, Mathieu Chouanier fumbled the ball on the 76th minute.
Yeah.
Lassiter stealed the ball from him and gave it to Pizarro, who crossed it. James Santemes tried to box the ball, but boxed it right through the middle of the pitch and came back to Lassiter, whose shot found the post before rebounding to Bourgelat that tried to score. The first time around, Sam Piet managed to to kick the ball out, and the second time around, it was impossible for Play
Okay.
to do anything. What a
Like,
bad few seconds from Montreal on that
do you
play.
remember when I said there, Hady, just a few seconds ago, there was some stuff that was really, really, really
Yeah,
bad?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah. That
Like,
was very
like
poor.
I was honestly waiting for it to go up on like Sportsnet or something, as some sort of like humoristic outtake for real. Like I thought like it was going to be making the viral rounds being insulted. I really did.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And we have Salam here that said exactly in the first half they weren't that good. And yes, I think we should have scored many goals, at least 3 in a
Uh
second. Thank you,
Salam is
Salam.
like on
Thank you, Salam. I agree
Salam's
with
on
you.
on the fence, I think.
No, he's Team Hady. Come on, Eve. Come on, you have to say it. No, but let's talk about
Let's talk
that
about
play.
the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that play because honestly, so many mistakes
Like so
on
much
that
went wrong.
play. So much went wrong.
Yeah.
First of all, I know a lot of people are blaming Pentemis, and it's 100%. I agree 100%. But there's so many players that made wrong decisions on that play. Mathieu Chouanière not taking information before receiving the ball.
Yeah.
That's a rookie mistake.
Yeah.
You're a seasoned veteran now. It's your third season within the first team. It's time that you understand that whenever you receive the ball, you need to take the information and make sure you have nobody on your back trying to steal the ball from you.
Yeah.
So for me, rookie mistake here. Right after, you have, of course, that cross from Pizarro, the big mistake from Pentemis. When you box a ball, you have to make sure to put it as far as possible and as much as possible, not put it in the middle of the pitch, in the
Oh my
center of
God,
the pitch, in
seriously.
the
It was
box.
like basically on the
Like,
penalty
come
spot.
on.
Like,
Exactly. And he could have caught the ball. Why did he box it?
I think that's the $1 million question. I think that's the question everybody wants the answer to. Unfortunately, we're never gonna get it. We're never gonna know what went through his mind in that moment. But yeah, it was bad.
Exactly. And then you know what? Lassiter takes back the ball. He shoots it in a very closed angle. It rebounds on the post, and Borgelin is all alone. And he
Yes.
tries to shoot. Samuel
Well, I mean,
does the best he can.
I was
and
gonna say, like, he's the only one who escapes here without some blame for me.
Exactly. Samuel Piet. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what? And then again, it falls back to Borgelin. Nobody second him. Again, like the guy had about 15 to 20 seconds. He was alone. There was nobody marking him. That's
bad.
not normal. That's not normal at all. So
it was bad. And like it wasn't like that they countered off of a set, like, you know what I mean? Like say Montreal committed a bunch of bodies up forward because they had a corner or something like that. That wasn't the case. So I don't know. I got nothing. I got nothing. Other than the fact that like I can't believe it took them that many tries to score.
Yeah, it's and you know what? It's funny because you said the only one that's not to blame is Samuel Piet. And I read some people on social media blaming him for his clearance. And I'm like, guys, the guy is standing at the place taking the place of the goalkeeper.
He's on the goal line, yeah.
He's on the goal line. Like, you really think that he has time to control it and like shoot it somewhere else? Of course you're gonna shoot it however you can. He can't be blamed. He can't be blamed on that.
No, like in an ideal world, yes, he could have had the presence of mind. Just kick it behind the goal. James Pentemis box it behind the goal.
Yeah, but like
anything.
He can't be blamed at all.
No, I know. I find it hard to blame him. So yeah, no.
Yeah, and as you said, I think he's the only one that cannot be blamed on that play. But then it was 2-0 for Inter Miami, and Miami scored another goal that was disallowed for an offside position. A very, 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 very close offside position. Let's say it. And unfortunately, James Pentemis got injured. And who came in? Jonathan Sirois. They came in and took his
Another
place.
debut.
Another debut after Sean Rea, Nathan Saliba, and James Bentham and Jonathan Sirois make his debut with CF Montreal in MLS. Um, Play the youth, right? So I was happy. I was happy. Montreal tried to
Well,
come back with a very good and an energetic Chidonzo Ofor. He was very energetic. He
yeah,
brought a lot in the last
yeah.
9-10 minutes, but it was a
Too
little
little,
too
too
late.
late. Yeah,
It was a little too late. Sorry for CF
no worries.
Montreal.
No, I think though, obviously, Ofor, he was over in Belgium. So he has, I think, a big advantage over a lot of the other players at his position because he has like legit match experience under his belt from not too long ago at all. So not only did he come in, like you said, with a very energetic appearance, I think he's also probably one of the players likely in the best shape on the team right now as well. And along with for me, along with Sean Rea, he also probably should get a more significant look in versus Austin next week, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
yeah. You know what? That was one of the things that I said in the last episode that he
Yeah,
could be a starter. Unfortunately, he wasn't. I think he was very, as Salam says, he was very active,
yeah,
uh, very energetic, and yeah, hopefully we'll see him and Rhea, like you said, next week
hmm
against Austin. Now, you look at that game, and what did you learn from that game, Eve? Like, what? Give me just two or three positives, two or three negatives. Like, give me something to
mm.
work with when you look at that game once again.
Two or three positives. Oh boy. So obviously some negatives. Some of the mistakes that were made were just so rudimentary that it was a little bit shocking. And hopefully that is just early season rust. Fingers crossed. Um, mm, Obviously Montreal. We talked about some of the shots taken. Some of them were certainly very good. Some of them probably could have been finished a little bit more clinically for sure. So, I think that is also something Montreal is going to want to work on in training this week because, while Calendar did make some very good saves, I think also the players could have been um, a little bit more ruthless in front of the net. As for positives, obviously, I think Aaron Herrera, in the short time that we got to see him at the right wing back position, I think he is definitely going to help us get over the loss of Alistair Johnston sooner rather than later. That was a big positive takeaway for me. And as well, seeing Sean Rea come in and make a great acquittal of himself, getting Jonathan Sirois his first MLS minutes so early in his career. Unfortunately, really unfortunate that it had to come because of an injury to Pantemis. Sounds like it's going to be a while. But so just excited to see some homegrowns finally making that roster.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree with everything that you said. I just wanted to add
Mm-hmm.
a few things. Um, there's a negative for me. It's Wanyama. I don't think he had a bad
Mm,
game. I just expect a bit more from the veteran in midfield. For me, when you look at the
yeah.
first half and the holes in the midfield, for me,
Mm-hmm.
that was the responsibility of Wanyama to make sure that this doesn't happen during 45 minutes. He's the veteran. He's the one with the
Mm-hmm.
most experience. Yes, I can blame Piet, but I think Piet had a very good game. If there's someone that had a good game yesterday, it was Samuel Piet. If I had to name a man of the match, I would name Samuel Piet. But I think Wanyama, I expect a lot more. I expect a lot more for him. I expect him to be the mentor of those young players
Yeah.
of the Nathan Saliba, because I can't blame Saliba, but I can blame Wanyama, and I think Wanyama could have been better. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something that's a negative also that I would add. The second negative
Mm-hmm.
is Romel Kyoto.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that I liked the partnership between Kyoto and Sanusi. I think it was very interesting. That's a
Mm-hmm.
positive, by the way. But Kyoto, individually, he could have done better. He could have dropped a
Mm-hmm.
bit more sometimes. He was a lot of times he was just alone in his corner and maybe a bit too fatigued. Maybe,
I noticed he was super taped up, so
yeah.
wondering if maybe he's a little bit not 100%. I know
Mhm.
he's generally pretty taped up, but it looked like more tape than usual on his thighs.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't have
But
any
no,
information.
I don't measure the inches of sports tape on his thighs from match to match. It just stuck out a lot more because it was gray shorts. I'm not 100% sure, but I like I said, I noticed it and I wondered if he was maybe carrying a little something because we
Yeah,
know he
possibly.
has some sensitive muscles.
Possibly. And then
Yeah.
finally, the last thing that I wanted to say that was a
Hmm.
bit negative, the wingbacks. The wingbacks seem lost in that tactical system.
Hmm.
I have a feeling that they don't really know what they should do, if they should
Hmm.
attack, if they should be, placed,
Hmm.
up front. They should be more in the back, more deep.
Hmm.
I'm not really sure, but they looked very lost during that game. And
Yeah.
again, it's the first game of the season. It's normal. You're going to be disorganized. It's the first game of the season. But still, this needs to be fixed
Really
um,
quick.
really quick. Exactly. And the only other thing that was positive, in my opinion, I think that the few minutes that Jonathan Sirois was here, uh, he made a good impression. I like the fact that he communicated a lot. We
Hmm.
saw him quite a few times, yelling, trying to
Hmm.
make himself heard, and I think
Hmm.
that's very, very important. I
Hmm.
remember, I wasn't a big fan of Breza last year, but the only thing that was really good from Breza is that he was very loud.
Yeah.
And I feel that Jonathan Sirois is the same kind of guy, communication
Hmm.
wise only. And I like that. I like that. At a goalkeeper, I think that's a
Yeah.
very good quality for a goalkeeper to have. So yeah, very interested to
Yeah.
see what it's going to give in the
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
few
Um,
seasons.
yeah, definitely. We did get a question from Chan.
Yeah,
He says, "What's your opinion that Hamdi and Toy are not even playing when we need goals? Both have big salaries."
yeah, and we have a similar question that we received also from Alain that
Yeah.
says, "So what should we think about Toy not getting minutes today?" Um, to be honest, I'm surprised. I'm very, very, very surprised, and not because of their salary. It's because
Mm.
of their experience, because of um, their talent. Also,
Hmm.
Mason Toy is a talented striker. Yes,
Oh,
he's not he didn't have a good season last year,
yeah.
but
Hmm.
it doesn't mean that he's not talented. Ahmed
Yeah.
Hamdi is an Egyptian national team player. Like, Egypt is not a small nation, right? So there is quality there.
Hmm.
Uh, are we able to utilize it within Lozada's system? Maybe that's why we're not seeing them.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, but I'm surprised too. What do you think, Eve?
Mm. Well, obviously, I think an unexpected sub had to be made last night. No coach ever plans to sub his goalkeeper. So maybe we would have seen one of them enter. That being said, though, for Hamdi, obviously he's coming back from a big injury. So I don't know if, a match on the road like that is the kind of moment to bring him in. It wasn't necessarily the most physical match I'd ever seen.
Yeah,
So it could have maybe been okay, but where he is just working his way back from a long-term injury, I kind of expect we'll just see him maybe in like little bits and pieces as he builds up his fitness. As for Mason,
that's possible.
yeah, maybe. As for Mason Toy, though, unfortunately, he didn't score any goals at preseason. We know he did get at least one assist because we had a highlight video of it. Um, that being said, though, there's a lot of competition right now at that spot, right? There's Visa, 04, Kyoto's there, Sanusi's there as well. There could be more players as well potentially coming in, and so I think really the coach has to go with the players who impress most early on. Maybe Ramel, I don't know whether or not Ramel Kyoto particularly impressed, but he is definitely a sure thing for Montreal, generally speaking. And then I think, we agreed that Sanusi had a really good preseason. So I'm not terribly surprised. And like I said, I think probably 04 was maybe just in better shape. He just had that little edge.
Yeah, he is in better shape because he's in mid-season form.
That's
right?
what I mean. Yeah. So I mean, that's an advantage, especially when you're in that Florida humidity.
Yeah. Maybe that explains the fact that Toy didn't get the start or even get minutes. But for Hady, as you said, maybe he's coming back from a season-long injury last year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's that, or maybe he's not adapted to Losada's playing style, and we'll see.
Yeah, because Patrick said, apparently neither of them had a great preseason from the limited info that we got. I know you and Elias certainly were at sessions from time to time, and you went to some of the scrimmages as well. But obviously, we only learned so much from those.
But we were in Montreal, right? So we weren't in Florida. So that's where, the big part of
like
match fitness and the tactical things were done. So it's hard to judge with the the Montreal part of the training camp only, unfortunately. So,
no, for sure.
And at the end of the day, I think yes, of course, it's important that players deserve their time on the field during practices, but you have some players that are better within a game than at practice also. So if you don't try them, if you don't give them a chance, you're never going to know if they can bring an added value to your team if you don't give them a chance. So we'll see. Still the first game of the season. We have a very, 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 very long season ahead of us with the Leagues Cup, with the Canadian Championship. So everybody will have their chance. I'm pretty sure of that.
There you go.
So let's talk about the presser. So Hernan Losada was at the presser. So after the post-game presser, first of all, I did talk about the Samuel Piet situation. He said that he didn't play in central defense, and Samuel Piet then said that he did. So
I don't know what to say.
Confusion.
Yay!
Then he was asked why was Kyoto the one doing the set pieces, and I think that was a very intelligent question because it's rare to see. Kyoto is good with with his head. He has good heading ability. So I was surprised to see him also take the corner kicks and everything. But Losada said he's the best we have. It's as simple as that. So, but then he said as soon as Shanrea went on the pitch, he's the one that took all the set pieces afterwards. So that's interesting.
And I think maybe that's another point for Sean Rea to start next week, because when Montreal gets a set piece, you do want a guy like Ramel Kyoto to be able to, like you said, potentially head the ball in, for example, or anything, because he can even just get the ball, potentially draw a penalty. You never know.
Exactly. I completely agree. And then he was asked about his pressing, and he said, yes, we weren't very good in the first half of flying it.
Thank you.
But it was better in the second half.
It was.
Then he was asked also about, he talked about Aaron Herrera, that prepared himself to play as a right wing back during the whole preseason, and that it was tough for him to go and play as a right center back from the get-go where he wasn't supposed to play.
Right.
So he said that there was a period of adjustment there at first. And finally, he said also that on the corner, the flick on at the first post, they did work on that during training.
Oh my God, I would never admit that.
Surprised. Yeah, he was very surprised to see us scored on a similar play. So yeah.
I would never have admitted that, given how bad it went.
And then a couple of things that was very interesting. He said that the team deserved at least a point from that game because the opposing goalkeeper had a tremendous game. I
Hmm.
kind of agree with him. I think that a draw wouldn't, yeah, would have been a fair result, in my opinion. And he also said, we are looking for more players. The transfer
Yeah.
market is still open until the end of
Yeah.
April.
Yeah, we had a few
I'm
comments come in about that as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a bit later. I just wanted to say it. And lastly, he said there's Pantemis is injured on his has an injury on his shoulder, and he said it doesn't look good, but he doesn't
Oh,
have
no,
the
no.
results yet. So very curious to know what's going on with our starting goalkeeper. So
Yeah.
let's talk about those two situations. We'll talk about Pantelis first because we have
Yep.
quite a few questions that were asked
Yep.
ahead of the show. So we have, first of all, Dr. Foot that's
Yeah.
asks Pantemis or Sirois?
Hmm.
Maybe that was before he knew that Pantemis was injured. And the other question was from Sean that
Hmm.
says Ketterer or Sirois next Saturday. And of course, there's always someone that gives us the funny comment, and that simple guy that says, should Pantemis consider football? Um, that's a bit
No
mean
to that
from you,
question.
simple guy. That's a bit mean. He had a bad game, Pantemis, but he's still a good
Hmm.
goalkeeper. You know, it's
Yeah.
normal from time to time to have bad games. Don't be too tough on him. He's gonna come back and he's gonna be a very good keeper. So what do you think? Do you go with
I'm
Sirois or do you go with Ketterer the next game?
Sirois. For me, Sirois, you know, play the youth, I think, is a little bit of a different philosophy when it relates to keepers, because keepers develop a little bit differently than other players. That being said, though, obviously Montreal has invested in Sirois. He is hopefully a part of their long-term vision. So for me, yeah, gotta be him next week. Period. Um, I had a thought. And I mean, for me, maybe he's able to retain the spot because I think I've remained skeptical as to whether or not James Pantemis is truly the number one solution for Montreal my whole life.
Eve, do you remember mid-year 2022 where we didn't know we knew that Breza was on loan. We didn't know
Yes.
what will happen with James Pantemis because
Yep.
it was the end of his contract. And I think I mentioned something saying, why don't we go with Jonathan Sirois as the number one keeper in
Hmm.
2023?
I didn't want it to happen this way.
I
I
didn't
mean,
want it
no,
to
but like
happen either.
seriously.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. But I think Jonathan Sirois deserves that chance.
Yeah.
I would not go with Ketterer, even I'm pretty sure he's a good goalkeeper, but he was signed to be a backup. So
Yeah.
let's keep him as a backup and let's bank on the prospect that we have. That's
Yep.
Jonathan Sirois.
No,
Let's bank on that.
yeah. Yeah, no, I'm completely on board with it. His form at Velour last season unfortunately wasn't super consistent. He did wind up finding his way out of the starting lineup.
Yeah, with Valor.
Um, yeah, exactly. But that being said, he does have two full CPL loan seasons under his belt, so it's not like he's coming in straight out of the academy. And yeah, no, for me, it's a no brainer.
Yeah. So hopefully we answered your questions, guys, regarding the goalkeepers. Any other questions regarding goalkeepers? Oh, we answered them
Not
all.
regarding goalkeepers.
Okay. And that's it, I think, for the presser.
Oh, Salam did just have a quick question.
Yeah, yeah.
Any news for Waterman?
No, I don't have any news from Waterwind or from Jonathan from James Pantemis. We should know something tomorrow, media. So you should learn something tomorrow during the game. Usually Sundays there's not a lot of communication because everybody's resting. So no news
Mhm.
regarding Pantemis or Waterman.
I know.
So next game will be next Saturday, 8:30 this time around, on the 4th of March. So at Austin, at the Q2 Stadium, right? Is it Q2?
Something to that effect.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
involves
I
it
think
involves
Q2.
letter Q. Yeah.
Exactly. So
In Austin.
in Austin. So it's going to be very interesting knowing that Austin, I think, lost their first game,
Yep.
against St. Louis City, so the new
They blew
expansion
the lead.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the St. Louis City won 3-2 at Austin. So, it's possible. And it is the Q2 stadium, just to let you know, guys. So that's possible. I think Montreal can. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to give a better performance than what we saw yesterday because I think, I think that
There's a lot of
team,
room for improvement.
there's room for improvement, and I think that team has potential. And hopefully we'll see that next week. What do
Mm-hmm.
you think, Eve?
Yeah. I don't expect the starting 11 to remain
The
identical.
same.
Evidently it's not going to, because we can expect that James Pantemis is likely going to be absent for a little while.
Oh, of course. Of
Yeah.
course.
But okay, like for the outfield players, all the same, I don't expect it's going to be the same starting 11. I think if Joel Waterman can hobble out there on one leg, I suspect that he will be out there to start the match. God love him. And I think, and as well, I expect we'll see a different attacking formation as well.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen and what Hernan Losada is going to choose, what kind of decisions he's going to take. Let's move on to the next topic of the show. Very, very interesting topic with the new MLS Cup playoff format. So 2023 MLS Cup playoff schedule is going to be very different than
Weird.
what we've known so far. It kind of reminds me the MLS is back tournament, like
Yeah.
not the tournament, but like this season, the 2020, was it 2020?
20.
Yeah, 2020 season when you had a play in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Montreal finished 10th and qualified for the play in.
Well,
And yeah, go ahead.
no, I was almost thinking it almost reminds me a little bit. You know how they had that time when Toronto and Vancouver and Montreal just played each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
That's
also
2020 too.
reminds me a little bit of that.
Yeah. I agree. So for people that don't really know about the formats, I'm just going to explain it very, very, very quickly. So
Text does not translate super well.
after decision day on October 21st, decision day is the last game of the season, the last game day of the season. The playoff schedule will go as follows. So there's wild card matches on October 25th and 26th, and then a round one best of three series matches between the 28th of October and the 12th of November. The conference semifinals and conference finals between the 25th of November and December 3rd, and then the MLS Cup presented by Audi, December 9th. So qualification. So the teams that finish between the first and the seventh position in the East and in the West are qualified directly for the round one best of three series. The seeds 8 and 9 play each other in a single elimination game played at the higher seed stadium. There will not be extra time. There will only be penalties to determine the winner. In a best of three series, it's as simple as the higher seed will host the first game, the lower seed will host the second game, and if need be, the third game is hosted by the higher seed. Again, no extra time, directly penalties, no draws allowed. And the rest is a normal single elimination format for the conference semifinals, the finals, and of course, the MLS Cup. What do you think about this whole thing, Eve?
I would like to know what sorts of drugs they have at the MLS offices, and like if they wish any of them to Montreal, that would be great, because I feel like this was developed like under a haze of Adderall and some other stuff. It's weird. I'm not gonna lie. It reminds me of a lot of other, like, it reminds me of an amalgamation of several different North American sports leagues, all kind of combined into one. Like, I'm really not sure what to make of it, to be honest with you. I have things I like and I have things I don't like. It seems extremely chaotic overall. I do like, though, that aside from the wild card play-in match, that when you get to the round of three, we are going to see teams, like, it's not just going to be one team hosting. Everyone's going to get a chance, and I like that. I miss the home and away legs that they did away with a few years ago, so I do like that. Um, what else? It seems like a lot. Like, there's a lot going on in here.
You know what? It's weird for the purists, right? And I'm one of them, right? It's weird because we're used to see soccer played a certain way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And following European leagues, we are used to the aggregate scores. So the home and away, and the aggregate saying, who wins and who goes through,
And extra time.
and extra time. Well, even if there are some
No, that's
competitions
true.
where you
There's,
don't have
yeah.
extra time anymore. So
Or like at a
that
certain point. Yeah, that's a good point.
exactly. So that for me is not as weird as the rest. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just that for the North American average Joe, they it doesn't seem to add up the aggregate scores, and I don't understand why. But you know what? Let's respect where we're living. We are living in North America, and if they don't think that the North American culture, goes well with the aggregate scores, they try to find something that's kind of more North American, with a
Yeah.
way of with a way of congratulating teams that are qualified in
Yeah.
the playoffs by giving them at least one home game.
Yeah.
So it's a bit.
Like, it just seems like they overthought this, like,
Yeah,
really hard.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I
I agree.
mean?
I agree.
I feel like there were too many cooks in the kitchen maybe on this one, or I'm not 100% sure what. Like, I've obviously posited some other theories that are not, like, super friendly. Um it's like I said, I do like that, if you qualify, you get rewarded to host a playoff game, because typically, those are some of the most iconic games in MLS. They really are. Even earlier stages, not necessarily just finals and stuff. Like, they are, just in general, some of the best ambiances that you could ever see.
I
But
agree, and they could have done a bit easier. I don't like the best of three series, but I
yeah.
can understand it.
So,
I
like
can
the Stanley
understand it.
Cup, kind of,
Yeah,
because they
and you know
do.
what? Why not? Why not? Why not? I agree, but
Okay, well, seven
why the
seven seems like a
play-in?
lot. let's not
Why
let's
the
not go
play-in?
there. What?
Why the play-in? Why the play-in?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you do from the first to the eighth position, the first place the eighth, and the second place the seventh, the third place the sixth, and the fourth place the fifth, and that's it. You don't need a play-in and then a bye in the first round, and then all this extra fla fla that's around the whole format. Like, it's too much. Like, come
I will
on.
say, though, like, I think, the number one seed, in the, because it's not been that long since since MLS last changed their playoff format. I think, like, the number one seed, they had a really long bye, especially because oftentimes the playoffs would coincide with the international window, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think probably any team that lands in that now, a lot of the time it didn't work out very well, right, for the number one seeds, aside from last season. Most of the time, we saw that kind of those number one seeds would deflate pretty quickly in the playoffs. So I think that will make it a lot more interesting, just because they won't have all that time off to kind of sit
Yeah,
around and wait for the other rounds.
but you're not gonna punish the number one seed just so it's more interesting. Like, they're number one,
That's
they
what
should
they're
be
there for, is to
rewarded. They
entertain
should
us.
be rewarded. Exactly, they should be rewarded. They
No,
shouldn't
but
be
I mean, like, you know what I
penalized.
like? No, but like they used to, like, it felt like they had several weeks off. You know what
But
I mean?
exactly, and for me, that's not
And now
good.
they don't, because they're in like a round earlier.
But no, because there's a play-in.
Yeah, but no, now they're in like straight from the get-go
from the get-go after the
of the
play.
playoffs proper, if you
Yeah,
will.
exactly. But after the play-in, but again, you're giving now all the teams are
Okay.
penalized because they're finished between the first and the seventh seed. I don't know. Yeah, because
What do you mean
the
by
eighth you have the play-in before, right?
yeah? Which yeah.
So the
I
other
don't see how you're being penalized for that though.
because they're starting later than the eighth and the ninth seed.
To me, it's an advantage to have like 1 week off. It's when you get to having 2 and 3 weeks off that it's long. I would see having 1 week off as an advantage. 1 week to rest up, heal, work on whatever secret tactics you want to work on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Again,
not really
it
sure.
depends on when the international window falls this year. Not 100% sure because we
But
do
we
have
know
the
we know decision day is on the 21st of October, so
yep
25th will be the
yeah.
play-in, and then the 28th. So there's no
Oh
international break
oh, you
after
know what?
between the yeah.
It must be like you see November 12th and then we have November 25th. I bet
Yeah,
that's when the international window is.
yeah. There is always beginning of October and beginning of November.
Yeah.
Usually the FIFA windows.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of understand the best of three series. I'm not a big fan of it, but I can accept it. I just don't understand the play-in thing. For me, that's irrelevant. They don't really need. Doesn't need
Yeah.
to be.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're on a lot.
So we have a
No.
question from chat.
Why do the 2 of 3 only in the first round but not in the final? Can understand their logic. Best of 3 final at some point, like at
Yeah,
some
that
point
was.
we'd be getting into like, playing on like New Year's Eve. um I don't know. It's gonna take some getting used to. And given the number of changes MLS has made to their playoff formats in recent years, by the time I get used to it, they're probably going to change it again.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. No, it's always evolving. But you know what, Eve? I would have understand a bit more that the best of three series were the norm until the MLS Cup, and the MLS Cup is a single elimination. That for me was the best thing to do. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. To me, like, if you're going to have it as a single elimination, I think you almost have to do it at a neutral ground then. You know what I mean? Like you do for champions. And then I'm gonna borrow from the European format. Do it like they do, for European finals. At a predetermined neutral ground, or the Super Bowl does that, don't
Yeah,
they?
but it didn't work the neutral ground because
Oh
unfortunately
yeah, right.
they tried to do neutral ground and there was nobody showing up.
That's fair.
So like,
Yeah.
would you go in Montreal to see? I don't know, man, the fire against Philadelphia?
You
I
can't have an
wouldn't.
MLS Cup final with those two, but sure.
No, no,
Uh,
I'm not saying it. I'm saying for
yeah.
the whole
Yeah, no, I know
playoffs.
what you mean. Okay, yeah.
If you not only the final.
No, okay, I was thinking of just doing the final at a neutral
Oh,
ground.
okay, you were thinking about just the final, but
No, it
okay,
would be
okay.
so weird to do all the playoffs at a neutral ground. Oh my god, that'd be so weird. Yeah, no, I was thinking like just the final because if it's a one-off, then you know what I mean. I don't know what to say. It's MLS. Who am I to judge? We're at their
Exactly,
mercy.
exactly. But you know what? It's going to be interesting. It's weird, but I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be entertaining, as usual. Playoffs are always entertaining, and we're going to be able to see to watch some good games. But you know what? There's a whole season ahead of that. There's the Leagues Cup that I think is going to be very interesting. There's a Canadian Championship that's going to be even more interesting this year. So yeah, can't wait, can't wait. So that's it for the MLS Cup playoffs format.
Yep.
Let's move to the next topic. Kai Kamara traded to the Chicago Fire. Montreal will receive 250,000 in general allocation money, 125,000 in 2023, 125,000 in 2024, in addition of $150,000 conditional to Kamara's performance. The club thanks Kai for his on-field contributions last season, said CF Montreal Vice President and Chief Sporting Officer Olivier Renard. The club's wish was not only to have him for the 2023 season, but to offer him a multi-year project. We wanted him to be happy and to settle in Montreal with his family. We ultimately found an agreement for a trade. We wish him the best of luck in the next chapter of his career. I didn't prepare a question. It's Robbie that
I
prepared a
know.
question for
God love
you.
him.
And that's asking from the team's perspective, good or bad trade?
I think everyone wins this, except for Chicago. Well, no, I mean, like Chicago, they get a player who's definitely a proven value in MLS. But I think Montreal wins because someone literally paid us to offload a player who didn't want to be here, as he had clearly stated, and who was clearly on very bad terms with a lot of the higher ups in the club. Kai Kamara gets to be closer to his family. That's a win for him. And Chicago gets, like I said, an experienced veteran, who is definitely good for a few goals next season. So from a Montreal perspective, I'm down to say good trade. For me, 250 grand guaranteed to $400,000 for a player who, like I said, did not want to be here. At the end of the day, is a plus.
I agree, and I would add a player that's 38, a player that was only paid 95,000 a year. I think that Olivier Renard made a very, very, very good trade.
It's a couple of times now, like kind of feel like Montreal's taking advantage of Chicago.
Yeah, or Houston. It's always Chicago
Also
or Houston. There's the two teams that we
maybe
always
RSL too.
RSL with Aaron Herrera. Yes, they did. But it's only once, right? It happened once. But Houston and Chicago, it happened quite a few times. So yeah, no, I think very good trade for Montreal. I don't want a player that doesn't want to be here. I'm not interested in that. I'm really not interested. Yes, I know that Kai Kamara is a very good professional, and I'm pretty sure he was exemplary in the dressing room.
And he was like clearly well loved by the players.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, his unhappiness was going to show up at one point. So might as well give him, what he wanted. He wanted a trade. Good for him. We'll see what he's going to do in Chicago. It's been tough being a player of Chicago. I saw a lot of comments of players saying, people saying, he's going to have Shaqiri behind him. He's going to have so many good passes for him to score. And I'm like, yeah.
We'll see. I'm not going to be like watching Chicago any more closely or anything.
Me neither. I'm just going to watch Kamara closer, like at least to see his stats. I'm going to take a look at his stats.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll trust you to man that for us, Hady.
I will. So yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, we're waiting. Okay, I love having GAM, so general allocation money. Do you think
a lot,
they're gonna do? Yeah. Do you think that the next additions are gonna be from within the MLS, Eve?
Well, as they said in the presser, not only did Hernan Lozada say it, but also Olivier Renard said it earlier the week in a radio interview as well. I forget which station. I'm really sorry. It was probably 91.9 if that was my guess, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm really sorry if I got it wrong. Given their propensity, I would be inclined to say yes. However, given that the season has already started, and given that, kind of the injury to Matko Miljevic, who was considered a relative starter, I think he was kind of slotted in tentatively as the starter, right? And Kai Kamara, who was basically kind of a very dutiful backup, like a very dutiful kind of guaranteed second striker. I'm not 100% sure how willing many MLS clubs would be to deal away of, the season has started. What do you think?
I think there's a lot of players that are waiting to be traded, that are no longer part of the plans of MLS teams. There's always players that that are still there until the end of the transfer market and are looking for the best deal that they can have. Same thing for the clubs; they're always looking for the best deal that they can have. And I think with the GAM that CF Montreal has, I think they're going to have a lot of choices, and they're going to be able to choose whoever they want and at the position that they want. Because right now, if you put 1.5 million in GAM on a player, I doubt that any team will refuse it, unless it's a franchise
a
player,
DP,
a DP or whatever, and
or a
Montreal is
beloved
not
player.
interested. Yeah,
Montreal's not interested in DPs. That's for sure.
So it's. I was looking through the comments during the show, and I think there's
we had
Patrick that
and
says,
Chan who had both kind of said some stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So Patrick says, I'm happy because both Losada and Gervais said we will probably be adding more pieces. Hopefully a true midfield maestro and a left back or left wing back. So that's for Patrick. For Chan, he just said he's expecting new players. But he didn't mention a position specifically.
No.
So what do you think? Where should we? I know you gave some insights, but like if you have one position to reinforce, which position would it be?
I think most of the players who are in that attacking midfield position are relatively young and inexperienced. Most of the players who we anticipate could be playing in that position. So I kind of think it would be nice to see so. And I understand that Olivier Renard's philosophy is not necessarily to go for like older players, or super veterans within MLS, certainly at least. But that being said, I think it would be nice to see somebody maybe with some more experience, more MLS experience in that position under their belt, who can serve as a bit of a mentor to them.
Interesting.
What do you think?
I don't think at all that it's going to be an attacking midfielder.
It would surprise me. It's just kind of like I think it would be nice just due to the inexperience of most of the players vying for that spot.
No, I'm pretty sure we're going to have either a left wing back or no, I think we're going to have a left wing back and a central defender. Because we don't have enough central defenders.
Well, George Campbell got injured, obviously.
Yes. And
Thorkelson too, and Waterman. Having 3 central defenders injured at the same time is not normal, I don't think.
Yeah. But you're playing with 3 central defenders.
Yeah, no, I agree. But still, then that's
you only have 5. You only have 5 and Herrera. I think you need the 6th central defender.
Yeah, that is 5. I can't count.
No. You need a 6th one, in my opinion.
I mean, it does kind of feel ideal to have like one to cover each spot. I agree with you. I kind of feel though that like whoever they bring in would be kind of a very depth player and would not be somebody that they'd see a lot out of.
That's why I said and. So you have a left wing back where you would put most of the money.
Yeah.
And then, just an extra safety central defender. Maybe someone that's performing at the MLS Next Pro level. That you can come and bring and put him with the reserve from time to time and give him some few minutes in the Canadian Championship or whatever. Because I don't think we have any players that are ready for the first team within our academy at that position.
Well, they don't. Obviously Montreal traded away Curry Fayao in the offseason. Or they didn't trade him away. My apologies. They let him go.
They let him go.
He signed with Vancouver.
Yeah. But, they didn't like the fact that he wasn't good at, passing the ball.
Yeah.
And, so distribution-wise. So maybe that's why it's the profile I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if we're going to see, one of the U17s that's going to come with the team. We'll talk about them a bit later because they did qualify for the World Cup, the Canadian national team U17. So
we'll see.
That could be something that could be interesting. A left wing back, I think that's where we need to improve. I'm not really sold on Lapalainen, Quizera, and Chouanière playing left. win back.
Well, it's not really either one of their true spots, so
Exactly.
it's ballsy.
Exactly. So that's where I would invest, in my opinion. So let's wait and see. And for me, I don't think that it's going to be an attacking midfielder, so number 10 or Maestro, whatever you want to call it, because you should have, like, depending on the tactics of Losada, you're going to need one or two at that position in a starting 11. You already have 6 players that can play that position.
Mm-hmm.
6 players. And for me, like, if you bring another player, that star quality player that's going to play in that position, it's like you're telling 3 or 4 of these players that, you know what, guys, you're not going to see any minutes this year. And I don't think it's a philosophy of Olivier Renard. If he has that many players, that means that for him, this is enough to cover that position. Or else he's going to trade one of them. And that could happen. If he doesn't trade one of them, I don't see Olivier Renard go and try to find a player in that position. But you never know. Right. So that's it for the trades. Let's talk about the Canadian national team. So I did mention the U17 men's Canadian national team qualified for the U17 World Cup that will be played in Peru from November 10th to December 2nd. Andrew Olivieri's men beat Puerto Rico 3-0 in the quarterfinals to qualify. Unfortunately, they did qualify to the semifinals, but they lost 2-0 against the U.S. after a very good performance, knowing that the U.S. is really a juggernaut in that specific age bracket. The final will be played today, so it's about to kick off in the next few minutes, and it's gonna oppose the U.S. against Mexico, of course, the 2 best teams in the region. So yeah, very interesting to see. I think it's the second time in a row that Canada qualifies for the U17 World Cup. Last time it was in Brazil. How important is that for the program, for the national team program?
Well, hope they can find the budget for it.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say something like that.
Well, I mean, I don't think we can just kind of ignore the issues, obviously. I sincerely hope they can find the budget for it. That being said, though, we saw how they treated the U20 or U23, my apologies, World Cup last year as just kind of an experimental time.
The Olympics.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the Olympics. They didn't go to the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. That was a qualification for the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but like, you know what I mean? They didn't actually like play to win. They just kind of experimented. So I would say it kind of depends on what the priority of the federation is, if they want to try and play that competition and compete, or if they plan to play that competition with a similar philosophy at the youth level. I do hope it's at a competitive level, though, obviously. I think that's what we always want to see our nation try and do. But that being said, obviously, I really hope then that they're going to be able to get the players together for some preparatory camps over the course of the year, because if not, then I'm not very optimistic at all.
Yeah, I agree. And what's really interesting is that Montreal had 3 players in that starting 11 during the whole tournament. And that's what's interesting for me. De Montigny, Biello, the son, and Jai. And Jai is scoring quite a few goals during the tournament. So that's always interesting. And it's going to be a very good experience for those young players playing in a World Cup in an international level. That's going to be very, very interesting. Now, I think that unfortunately you have some very, very big nations competing for the World Cup. So I don't know how
I'm not super optimistic regardless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So hopefully it'll be a very good experience for those young lads, and they'll be able to learn from that experience. So,
yeah. No, but I want them to try and play it like a true World Cup. You know what I mean? Like not like let's send out a different 11 each time.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see that from the youth team. And to close it up, the women's national team at the She Believes Cup, they did play the final game, Eve, against Japan.
Yeah.
Big loss, 3-0 loss for
Yeah.
Canada. Tell us a bit about it.
It wasn't great. So Bev Priestman, she definitely shook up her starting 11 a lot going into this match. They had come off, I think, a really nice match, really, versus Brazil. It was really interesting, and we saw several different players come in. D'Angelo started in net. Then we had Jade Rose once again. We had Kadisha Buchanan. Um, and Shalina Zadorsky in the central defense. So Vanessa Gilles was subbed out for that match. We had Janine Becky. Again, we saw the Grosso and Fleming pairing. We did not have, unfortunately, a defensive midfielder, Ashley Lawrence. Evelyn Vienne got the start finally, finally in the third match of the tournament. Chloe Lacasse also got a start, and of course, Christine Sinclair was the captain of the team. It was not good. I think definitely, obviously, it's been just a really difficult tournament overall for Canada with so much going on off the pitch. But it did not get off to a good start. Japan were incredibly organized. They were incredibly crisp. It was like a well-oiled machine running, and obviously with such a shaken up lineup, it did not look fantastic for Canada. The first goal came off of an unfortunate turnover, and the goal scorer Kiko Seiki had been really, really dangerous the whole game. The second goal was a penalty scored by Yui Hasegawa. Unfortunately, Kadisha Buchanan made a really clumsy tackle in the box, and it did not. It led to a penalty as well. I forgot to mention on the first goal, Sabrina D'Angelo injured herself pretty seriously. It looks like she came off the pitch. She was unable to bear weight on one of her legs, so Kaylin Sheridan did have to sub in. And obviously, really unfortunate for D'Angelo, who had just made the move to Arsenal and was enjoying a really good run of cup football with them. So really disappointing to see that for her, because it looked like things were kind of on the up and up. Third goal came in the second half in the 77th minute, scored by Joan Endo. And honestly, Canada did not look dangerous at all. For having Chloe Lacasse, who's been scoring left, right, and center with Benfica, Evelyn Vienne, who, we are the conductors of that hype train here at The Ball Is Round. They only managed one shot on target in the whole game. So they really weren't dangerous. Japan had the majority of the possession. They were just so much more dangerous. Like overall, it was shocking, and it was a pretty bummer way to end a tournament. After a really difficult time for the women's national team.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? What I like the fact we talked about it last week, Elias and me, that we wanted to have Lacasse and Vian as starters. They did start, but I feel that, again, as soon as things go sour, they're the first ones that are removed from the starting 11. I think Vian was replaced at the 45th minute.
Yeah.
Lacasse, I think a bit later, I think the 50 something or maybe 60th minute, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was sometime around then, yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know what's going on. I still think that Vian should be the starting striker for Canada, because she's a poacher. And so many times there's nobody in the box to finish those chances. And so is Vian. When she's in the box, she can find the back of the net. And again, it's not a matter of not being able to put the ball in the box, because Canada has always been good at that. It's always a problem at finishing chances because you never have someone in the box to finish those chances. So again, I talked about it last week, and I feel again that Beth Riesman doesn't trust that Evivia is the one. Maybe because she doesn't participate in the build-up. She doesn't participate in building, the attacks for her team. But it's a different profile. That's her profile. Yeah. That's how she plays. So we'll see. We'll see what's gonna happen. There will be another camp, I think, in March, if I'm not mistaken.
April.
in April.
They're going to be
Exactly.
playing in France against France in April.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And that's actually I didn't mention this to you, Hady, but I think it's interesting to mention right now as well. We're seeing several French players as well, indicating that they're not going to be representing the French national team
Yeah,
until some significant changes are made within the French Football Federation, which I'm not going to try and translate. And I think the most notable name among them so far is Wendy Renard, who
Wendy
is an
Renard.
iconic player
Yeah,
for the French national team. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that camp goes, because obviously we're going to, it sounds like at this stage anyway, we're going to have two teams who are in a lot of turmoil.
yeah. From what I understand, I didn't read it. I didn't read too much on it, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
disagreement between the players and the national team coach. So it's a bit
Yeah.
different. It's not a disagreement between the players and the federation. It's personal between Corinne Diacre, who's the national team coach, and the players. That's what I read. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. I think Yeah, I think I did see that to some extent. That being said, I know I've seen kind of just a lot of general criticisms, I guess, for want of a better word, in the player statements. So I don't know if there's maybe more to it than just Yak.
It's interesting. We'll
And
see.
yeah, there's
We'll
like
see
I
what's
said,
going to
I
happen,
know
but
there's
things need to be changed, and that's for sure. We talked about it a lot in the last few weeks, and we'll continue on talking about it. Eve, I think you're the one that has social media for us this week. I know that
I
Elias
do.
picked some of the tweets, even if he wasn't
Mhm,
here. So
I
go
know.
ahead. Let's
Right
start
on.
with the segment first.
Already ready to go. Alrighty. So let's start with social media. Okay, our first tweet comes from Benedict Rhodes. Um, so making reference to both Valor alumni. So he initially tweeted, Sean Rea just got substituted in for his MLS debut. Then so did Jonathan Sirois after an injury to fellow former Valor loanee James Pantemis. Big day for Ken PL alumni.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Benedict is a very good writer. He writes
oh,
for
cool.
quite a few websites, Waking the Red, Derby Magazine, and so. A very good writer, and he loves the CPL. And yeah, it's
Awesome.
always nice to see the reason why the CPL exists, and that is why the CPL exists to give some sort of playing time for those young players, for them to go even higher and get playing minutes in MLS after.
Not
But
necessarily just MLS. I mean,
yeah, in MLS
they
or
can develop and go
anywhere else.
anywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. But we're starting to see, the fruits of that league in MLS in the last couple of seasons. We
Mhm.
know Mohamed Farsi now that plays with Columbus, that signed a professional contract with Columbus after a year
Mhm.
playing in MLS Next Pro. And there's so many players. D.I.D. Nabzi that's playing in League 2 now in
Victor
France with
Loturi, who's
both.
playing in Scotland.
Exactly, and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah. No, so no, I'm thrilled to see so many CPL alumni making a name for themselves. It just means that the league is growing, and that's what we want, and that's what we need. Next up, and we have Kate, who says, "Not a sing." Oh, I forgot about this. Oh no, I'm getting mad now. Not a single Canadian men's national team or Canadian women's national team fan wants Nick Bontis anywhere near our teams, and now I'm hearing he just got appointed a new position with CONCACAF. What is wrong with you, CONCACAF? What is wrong with you, Canada Soccer? I can't keep watching this game. I forgot about this. Did you see that, Hattie?
Yes, I did. I
Mm,
did. It's unfortunate.
I'm.
It's unfortunate. I, yeah, I have no words.
I mean, like Victor Montagliani,
Yeah,
he got reelected and he ran unopposed. Obviously, he is Canadian. So I don't know if like there's a link there. And the position that Nick Bontis got, just to be clear, I have to look up what it was. I'm sorry. It's the vice president to some effect, right? Um, um,
And he's not leaving his duties in
no,
general manager.
no.
He has both now.
Yeah. He's the vice president, the council vice president.
Yeah.
So he has reached a more prominent role, I guess, within CONCACAF. Um, I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, we just shared the opinion of Kate that we agree with, but I have
I
no more comments.
I don't think I can say anything podcast friendly.
Yeah, me
I'm just
neither.
gonna leave it. There we go.
Gym teacher.
We gym teacher says he's this must be regarding Sean Rea, I would assume.
Yeah, yeah,
He seems to be able to create and looked as good as when he played for Valor. Didn't miss a beat, it seemed. Completely agree.
100%. We talked about him a
Yep.
lot, Sean Rea. We had him on this pod. So for the people that don't really know, it was a couple of weeks ago. We had
Yep.
him. He was interviewed by Elias. Very nice interview. So if you haven't listened to it, go ahead and listen to it. Gym teacher, by the way, he has the logo of Napoli, and Rea and his whole family are Napoli fans. So is he someone from Rea's family? Not really sure, but yeah, I agree with him. I agree with him 100%.
Next up. Oh, I like this one. So this is from Sutton. It says the Tillies are icons for this. I love Australians so much. So the Tillies, for anyone who doesn't know, is the nickname for the Australian women's national team, and they did a demonstration before their recent match as well, and they donned purple armbands in solidarity with Canada. And I believe it was Sam Kerr who had written on her armband, "Pay my friends."
Love it.
Love
Love it.
it.
Love
Love
it.
it. And we actually saw players from several nations,
Yeah.
wearing armbands. We had Japan wearing armbands. We had England wearing armbands. We had some US women's national team players wearing
Yeah.
armbands. So there's a lot of eyes, it's very widespread. So
Hopefully, it will result into something positive.
there's a lot of eyes on us, that's for sure. And our last tweet of the evening comes from JJDTV. Says a big congratulations goes out to Alistair Johnston for winning the Scottish League Cup, which is his first trophy in Europe with Celtic, the first of many. So that happened this morning, actually. Alistair Johnston and Celtic won the Scottish Cup. So congratulations.
The Scottish League Cup.
Yes, my apologies. Scottish League
No,
Cup.
it's okay. But it's still a trophy, right? And that's amazing.
Silverware is good.
That's amazing. When you start tasting winning trophies, you start having a winning mentality, and that's always a good thing in your career, to learn to win and to carry that over with the Canadian national team. That's going to be a big plus. That's going to be a big plus. So hopefully we'll see Alistair, lift a lot of trophies this year with Celtic, one of the best teams in Scotland, if not the best, actually. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think, and I think it's the beginning of the story for Alistair Johnson, of his story in Europe. I don't think he's going to be in Celtic for long. I'm pretty sure he's going to go elsewhere afterwards. So very interesting to follow his steps.
Yeah, no, really happy for him. Couldn't happen to a nicer player, I don't think.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Hady, back to you.
Okay, so that's it for social media. So guys, I hope you guys liked our show this week. I think that's going to wrap it up for our show for the 121st episode of The Ball is Round. I'm going to say thank you to all of you for listening. Don't forget, we do have a Patreon page. If you want to be a member of our Patreon, please go to our page. You can see it on our Twitter. account. You can go and follow the link and be a Patreon. Our content is always going to be free. We want to keep it free. It's never going to change. But if you want to help us with our content, to develop the content and bring extra things to the pod, please participate to our Patreon page, and we'll be grateful. So that's it. Thanks a lot, everyone, and see you next week for episode 122 of The Ball is Round.